Bror Fredrik coming at you with the latest Las Vegas news. I got two stories for you that we need to talk about. I am currently leaving the Vidara. We'll cruise up and down the strip and I'll drop all the latest info on you. You're going to want to stay tuned to hear these two stories. And we'll get into that right after this. All right, we're in motion. Let's get going. I like driving around here. I don't know why. It's just so freaking awesome down here, city center. But let's cruise down to Harmon here. A lot of people don't even know about this back entrance. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the latest going on with Caesars, which is, being that I listen to earnings calls, not just in the casino properties, because I wouldn't invest in casino properties with your money. That's as in like investing in the freaking Titanic, while it's sinking. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But on Caesar's latest earnings call, they announced a few interesting things. One of which is that they are indeed closing a deal on the Promenade, however you want to pronounce it, which is, I'll flash the video, which is that strip next to the Links, which has restaurants and theaters and, of course, the High Roller. It's kind of a fun place, but they are selling that off for $275 million. So you could say, hey, Bror Fredrik, why the heck are they doing that? According to the earnings report, they are trying to get their debt under control. Caesars is heavily indebted, and they are trying to get a handle on their debt. So they are selling off all the, what they would consider, or maybe what we would consider, non-essentials, non-gaming. So they're not selling the properties, even though the Flamingo was up for sale at one point. They are indeed selling off anything that doesn't have to do with gaming, and the Promenade came up on the chopping block, and it is gone. Well, going to be gone. Is there going to be any changes over there? Probably not. I mean, the new company, which is a real estate investment group, is probably going to make some changes and maybe some upgrades. They'll probably raise everyone's lease. Maybe they'll lower it to stick around. Who knows? But that's going to be a cash infusion of $275 million for Caesars. The High Roller isn't going anywhere. None of those places are going anywhere. O'Shea's, believe it or not, is part of the Promenade, even though it's in the casino proper. But they are going to use that, buy down some debt. Now, that is a trend that's been going on for quite a while. A lot of you may not know that they sold off the rights to the World Series of Poker. And believe it or not, it's an astronomical number. They sold that off for $500 million. $500 million. Just the name, the branding, and the rights to use said World Series of Poker. $500 million. Now they got $250 million up front, and then they took a promissory note on the other $250 million for a total of $500 million. And they're not done yet. They have other plans to sell off other assets. I can't say what exactly they are because I don't have clear information on that. I mean, not the Paris and all these other places, even though they are making $1 billion a month on the strip. These properties are not doing all that well, believe it or not. I don't know whether it's a case of inefficiency, they're running on slim margins. I don't know what's going on, but if I was making $1 billion a month, payroll or not, expenses or not, I'd be turning a profit. These places are barely turning a profit, and shareholders have had it up to here. They're just like, hey, when are you gonna make some money with all the money you got rolling through? So basically, they are looking into their inventory, not just here in Las Vegas, but countrywide, and figuring off what they can sell. I wouldn't exactly call it a fire sale, because $275 million and $500 million is no joke. But if they sold off the rights to the World Series of Poker for $500 million, got $250 million up front, and they're still not covering their debt, that is problematic. You cannot run your household like that, and they cannot run theirs like that. And by the way, I just had to put this out there. During Caesars conference call, they also stated that F1 sales are completely flat and worse than last year, which reiterates the statements I made on a previous video. You can go and check that out. Flat, worse. So that is the latest news coming out of Caesars. It's not going to change much, but it is an interesting fact. I wonder what this construction is going on over here. I'm curious. As you can see also, F1 construction is well underway, not as obtrusive, not as effed up and jacked up as last year, but I'm going to do a report on that as it gets closer to the race, which is a mere 3 weeks away. It doesn't look like they're even remotely close. But anyway, I got another story for you. Now, this might affect locals more than it does tourists, but it does affect tourism as well if you plan on being here election time. Yes, our governor who we barely ever hear from, Joe Lombardo, has stated in a press report that he is going to deploy the National Guard during the election, which is November 5th, probably before, probably after, at the behest or the recommendation of the White House, of course, in order to supplement law enforcement just in case there's any problems during the election. Frickin' yikes. What do I have to say about that? It's interesting to see military personnel safeguarding our elections, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Now, for tourists, you might be a little put off. I don't know what the presence is going to be on the Strip. I don't know what the presence is going to be around town. They have not announced it. Most people are saying it'll probably be around the polling locations and such. I wouldn't say BS to that, but I think it's going to be a little more widespread than just around polling locations. You do not deploy the National Guard to make sure everyone is peaceful in line. What I'm anticipating, unfortunately, is unrest. So if you're a tourist here between the election, which is obviously November 5th, coming up in a few short days, go out and do your civic duty, and don't think about yourself. Think about the future of this country and the future of your kids, and not just what you can get out of it personally, because you're not going to get what you think out of it personally anyway. So think a little broader, think a little deeper. But anyway, what might happen, who knows? I mean, my thought and my prediction about this election cycle, I would say, I don't think it matters whether who wins or who loses or whatever. There's gonna be some, I hate to use the word chaos, but I think there is going to be some chaos. I think there's going to be some unrest. It might start out as simple as some picketing, a few people doing a protest here and there, but once the results start flowing in, which in our state, they don't have to complete it the same night. They can still continue to take ballots, even with improper postmarks on them, up to 3 days after the election. So, there's already shenanigans going on, if you know what I mean. So it might start out simple, little protesting here and there, but it might devolve into some form of chaos. I don't think it's going to be chaos amongst opposing groups. I think it's just going to be chaos in general. I mean, if the United States as a whole goes buck-ass wild over a sports team winning or losing, imagine what's going to happen over this election cycle. So what I'm here to tell you is, 1, go out and vote. 2, this is my recommendation. When you go out and vote, try to vote early. Especially, I'm speaking out to the locals. I know you watched the show. Vote early. Get it out of the way. I do not think you want to be in the streets during election day. I'm not trying to put fear out there. I really don't want to do it, and that's up to you. But whatever happens, just go out and vote. If you're going to be voting on the day, November 5th, just be careful. Don't trust people who are telling you what to do on the lines. There's been cases so far of people making up their own badges and trust the election commission. It looks all official and other shit like that, telling you can't vote, you can't wear this, you can't do that. It's going to be chaos, but make sure your vote gets counted one way or the other. We need good, safe elections. But again, I would say vote early if you can. If not, if you do have to go on the day, or you want to go on the day of the election just to get in on the excitement, see what's going on. I don't know if you call it excitement, but I'm going to be driving around. I'll go look. But anyway, keep your head on a swivel, even you tourists out there, because the Las Vegas Strip is going to be a prime location for picketing, for potential riots, for potential chaos. Like I said, it'll start out simple and, rah, 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 I have a sign, but who knows what it's going to devolve into. So keep your head on a swivel, whether you are a tourist or whether you are a local, and try to vote early. Let's hope that this town is ready for what I guess would be called a peaceful election, a peaceful transfer of power. But if history over the past 5 years has told us anything, 4 years, it might not go that well. And for the governor to say, hey, we better get the National Guard in here to make sure there's no craziness, that's a big deal. Don't underestimate how big a deal that is. I wish Governor Lombardo would be a little more present. He got elected, but I don't know what he does. I don't know what he stands for. I don't know what he's accomplished. I don't know nothing about the guy. He's just like mute, when it comes to what's going on. I predicted him to he comes from law enforcement. I figured he's going to come in, clean up the town, clean up the city, clean up the Strip, do all the things. And unfortunately, he's been, I wouldn't say in hiding, that would be extreme. He's been non-vocal, to say the bare minimum. So for him to come out, do a press conference and say National Guard is on the way to quote unquote secure the elections and all this other stuff, it's a big freaking deal. I don't want to blow it too far out of proportion, but it's a big deal. We got some nutty people in this town. I could just imagine some of the chaos that would ensue. Casinos can be overwhelmed by the amount of shenanigans taking place out front. I would hate to see it. I really don't. I'm not rooting for it, but keep your head on a swivel and go and do your civic duty, because your vote does count. So as far as election day goes, I am going to be doing lives the entire day. total coverage of the 2024 presidential election. Now, where am I going to be doing that? I'm going to be doing that over on my streaming platform, which is brorfredrik.com. Go check it out. There's a link in the description down there. There's a coupon code. There's all the stuff. That's where we can talk about all the things that truly matter, especially this upcoming election. I believe this election is going to determine the future of our country, for better or for worse. So election day coverage, I'll be doing it. Hope to see you there. Link in the description. And while I got you, I'm going to invite you to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button to get notified when I do this again, which is at least 5 times a week. And if you want to support the channel and if you want to keep these videos coming, I do appreciate it. The bell button, and of course, checking out my sponsors, all the links in the description and all that wonderful stuff. And I got the Patreon, the Cash App, the Venmo, and yada, yada, yada. But I am a fan-funded channel, so I do appreciate and I am humbled by your generous support. And I love you guys. And on that note, from the Las Vegas Strip, Bror Fredrik out.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.